Hello guys, first of all I welcome you all to this interview question series, and in this series we are specifically focusing towards the interview question related to the advanced Excel. So we already completed the two sets of it and we are in the set 3 right now. So let's get started with the today's session. So the first question for the today's session is run down the process of creating the drop down list in the Excel. Okay, so this is the most frequently asked questions whenever you wanted to go towards the advanced Excel interview, and because it's a commonly used functionality when we wanted to create the dashboard into the Excel. Okay, also first of all, what is drop down? So you must have seen some of the forms are there into the online websites, or when you wanted to sign in where we want to choose the states or city, something like that, and they must have come up with some list of values are there where we have to click on that list or the box and the list will appear, and from the list of those values we will select appropriate value. Clear? So similar kind of stuff we can do with respect to the advanced Excel as well, or Excel as well. So how can we do that? Let me just go directly to in the workbook I have right now. Okay, so this is in this workbook, in the sheet I have some small data is there, right? I have some subcategories are there, and with respect to each of the subcategory I wanted to get something like how many sales are there, how many quantities are there, if I'm doing any discount kind of stuff is there or not, and what is the profit I am getting with respect to that. Yeah, the small data set I have right now with respect to me. So I wanted to just do one thing here. In the cell V5 I wanted to create, or in the address V5 we wanted to create one drop down list of each of the subcategories, and if I'm selecting those subcategories I also wanted to compute their average profit as well. Clear? So how can I do that? First of all, how can we create the drop down list? Okay, so select the cell where you wanted to create the drop down list. Okay, in my case it is a cell V5 right now. Okay, go into the data tab. In the data tab we have a data tools section is there. In the data tools sections you will have options called data validations. Once you click on the data validations, one dialog box will appear, and in the dialog box we have a first tab is there which is a setting, and in the setting tab we have a data validation criteria is there. In the data validation criteria we have a allowed values are there, right? Which value wanted to allow in the particular cell or range of a cell we have. So I want something like a list of value I want. So I just wanted to give the list of values, and according to that you can select the appropriate value, right? So here you can type down manually with respect to the comma, or you can just reference the range as well, right? So let me just type down the manual thing, something like A comma B comma C comma D, right? And let me just click OK right now. So the drop down is created. This is a simple process of creating the drop down right now. If I just click on it, I'm just selecting whatever the value I want. This is called a drop down we have, right? So but the thing is that this is not the problem statement I want to create the list for the subcategory. How can I do that? How can I do that? So to create those things, one challenge is there are many subcategories are there, yes or no? So there are many subcategories are there. So how can I create? Either I can just manually type it down, but it is time consuming process. So the way through is that we can just create a unique list of all of the subcategory and then reference those cells. So first of all, how can I get the unique subcategory? In the cell, in the column V, in the column U, I am just creating a unique subcategories. Right? This is the unique subcategories we have right now. And what I'm trying to do is that first, let me just copy all of the data from the cell on the column O. Control Shift down, Control C, Control Backspace, Control V. Right? I am getting all the data. I don't want to duplicate values. So in the data tab as well, we have get the remove duplicate options. Click on the remove duplicates, right? And remove all these things. And here you can see I am getting all those unique values, right? We can reference this cell right now for creating the drop down. Let me just select the cell V5, go into the data tab, data validation again, right? Any value instead of list of value, and in the source I am selecting the range. I am selecting the range right now. This is the range I have, and let's just click OK. Right now you can see that I can just create the drop down for each of the subcategory I have. So if I don't require any of the columns, something like U column I don't need right now, we can just hide those stuff, and here you can choose right now whatever the things you want. So again, another thing is that based on this selection I wanted to compute the average profit also, right? Based on this selection I wanted to compute the average profit. So if I wanted to compute the average, sum, count based on some criteria, then we can just go with respect to the count if, average if, sum if functions. So in the case I am requiring the average, so I am going with the average if. This is the average if functions I have. Range, right? Range where criteria is there. So this is the range I have right now. So control shift down, control backspace, then we have a criteria. This is the criteria we have in the cell V5, and average, which range you wanted to average. I wanted to average the profit. Just close this stuff down. I am getting the average profit with respect to the subcategory phone right now. Let me just change the subcategory, something like papers. I am getting the average profit with respect to the paper as well. So this is how we can just create the drop down, and by creating the drop down we can utilize whatever the values are there into the drop down and create the further calculations. I guess it's clear for all of you. So the next question we have for the session, next question is something like related to the null values. So what are the methods you adopt to fill the null values in the Excel? Okay, first of all, let me clear what is null value is. Null values in the Excel means absence of a record, right? Means absence of a record. If I have a null value in my system, then we have to handle those null value. If we haven't handled those null value, then the analysis will be not correct. That purpose, what I'm trying to do here is that, let me just directly go. There are many methods are there, first of all, right? There are many methods are there. So we can just fill with the specific value, and if I wanted to fill with the specific value, we can just go with respect to the replace values options are there, right? Or we can opt for the shortcut key, something like Control H are there, right? Control H is there. So by pressing Control H, find and replace dialog box will appear, and in the find things we can just make it as a blank. We can make it as a empty or blank, and in the replace box you can add anything, any values or anything you want, and then just click on the replace all. This is the first approach we have, right? From by utilizing those approach we can impute something like median imputation, mean imputation. We can do those stuffs also right now. Clear? Then we have something like fill with the previous values. So if I have a categorical data, then we can employ fill with the previous values approach. In the Excel we have a separate functionality is there, which is called a fill up and fill down, and by using those functionality we can fill those values as well, right? Or we can utilizing the Control G special option, and using the special options we can just fill those values. Clear? And a third option is using the interpolations, right? Using the formula something like if error, and you can utilize the if error functions to just interpolate over the whatever the values you have, and if you feel that any of the cells will causing the error, and we will impute with the different kind of data, which is called the no data or NA, whatever you want. Clear? So these are the various methods. There are many methods are there, guys. Okay, there are many methods are there, but these are the most used and most utilized methods we have. We will see one method practically. Let me just go into my workbook I have right now. This is the small data I have, where I have some blank value with respect to the categories, right? So I wanted to impute this thing with respect to the corresponding category I have. So we can employ something with respect to the fill up and fill down option, because it is a categorical data I have. So what I'm trying to do here is let me just select the range, Control Shift down and Control backspace. Okay, or we can just again let me just go into the top. Okay, again I wanted to select Control Shift down, all the data is selected, Control backspace, right? Go into the home, and in the home section you will see something like fill up and fill down options. Let me just employ fill down. This is how we can impute the values. Instead of fill down, you can use the fill up as well. It will work in the similar way, but instead of searching from the top, it will search from the bottom. Clear? This is how we can just handle the null values, or we can just use the something like replace values options are also there, right? Replace values options are also there. We can utilize that replace values options, something like this one, right? to find what, make it empty and replace with anything, right, na or any mean value, right, and you can just press replace or replace all. Clear? This is how we can just input the null values into the excel we have. Clear guys? So let's move forward with the other questions we have. Next question is explain correlation, covariance, also explain how to compute it into excel. Okay, if you are specifically going towards the data analytics job where excel is a crucial requirement, then these questions will be appear into the interview as well. So what is the question we have? What is correlations and covariance? So what is covariance? Covariance measure how two variable change together, how two variable change together, and if I wanted to measure their directionality also, if I wanted to measure their directionality also, then we can use the correlations. Okay, so covariance and correlations are same thing in a way, because if I standardize the covariance, I am getting the correlations, right? So when you compute the covariance, its value is not in the range of the data, so we can compute the correlation over it, and we will get the values in the range of -1 to 1. There are some mathematical stuffs are there, we are not going into that right now. So just need to know about what is covariance and correlation. We will use the degree of change between the two variables, right? The degree of change between the two variables. It is also helps us to explain the impact on one variable change over the another, right? The impact on one variable change over the another. And it is specifically important for the data science guys to know the difference between the correlations and covariance, because if I wanted to segregate each variable's impact, then there must be a minimum correlation between them. Clear? So how can we do this kind of stuff into the excel we have? So we have a standard functions are there, something like correlations or covariance, right, for the population, for the samples as well, and we can just compute their whatever the value we have, and we can interpret it. Let me just go into the excel I have. Let's suppose I have the two variable which is called sales and profit. I wanted to compute what is the correlations or covariance is there. So we have a functions is there, something like equals to correlations array 1. This is the array 1 I have, something like sales, control shift down, right, control backspace. Then second array, this is the profit array I have, control shift down, control backspace, right, and let me just press enter. 0.47 is always between the -1 to 1, right, 0.47. So if the value is near to +1, then both of the variables directions are same, are going towards the same directions. Means what? If the sales are increasing, the profits are also increasing, right? So it's give me a directionality of the each of the component. What is covariance? Right, covariance we have getting the all for population and sample. Let me just go with the sample I have. So if I have the sales, right, control shift down, control backspace, again array 2, something like profit I have, control shift down, control backspace, and let's just close this stuff. Here I am getting the covariance stuff, but the value is not that interpretable because it is not in the range of a data, but it will show you the impact of one variable over the another variable. So if you standardize the covariance, I am getting the correlations. This is the covariance and correlation is there, and by using the built-in functionality of covariance and correlations, we can compute all of these things into the excels as well. Clear? So let's move forward with the other questions we have right now. So the final question we have for the session guys, okay, what is circular referencing in SQL and how can we resolve it? Okay, so it's a pretty important question you have for the advanced Excel. So circular referencing occurs when a formula in a cell refers to itself directly or indirectly, leading to an endless loop. So if you are accidentally just typing down the cell reference to itself, then it will be termed as a circular references. So if you just wanted to do some recap with respect to the referencing we have into the Excel, then we have some absolute referencing is there, relative referencing is there, right, and we can utilize this referencing style to construct the formulas and functions. To resolve these errors, we have some checking options are there. By using those we can handle those things. So let's just go into the workbook I have right now. In the workbook, let's suppose this is a cell A1 I have, and in the cell A1 what I'm trying to do here is that, let me just compute something like this. I'm just referring the cells with itself, something like 10. As soon as I enter the steps, I am getting the warning, right? Circular reference. If I just click OK, nothing happens, but right now formula is intact. I have to resolve this stuff, right? What if I don't want to do anything? If I just close the workbook right now and again open it, I'll again got this pop-up. In order to resolve it and in order to just Spotify whatever the error is, let's just go with respect to the formulas, and in the formula we have a error checking options is there. In the error checking we have a circular references is there, and if anywhere in the workbook we have a circular reference, those cell will be highlighted here. So just click OK here, and you can just head back to whatever the cell you have, and you can just resolve it. Clear? This is how the circular reference is, and this is how we can resolve the circular reference as well. Clear, guys? So these are the all questions we have for the sessions. We will meet in the next sessions with the more interview questions. Till then, have practice all of these questions, get the full understanding of how these things works, and we will meet in the next one.